Welcome, everyone. I hope that that bell was okay, thank you, good. My name is Anne, and it is such an honor to be here, and I'm ridiculously excited, so much so, I have left my script upstairs, so let's hope that the electricity stays on. I am absolutely a passionate student of Theosophy, and Theosophy, what is so wonderful is that you here know, a majority of you know what Theosophy is. If you know what Theosophy is, please raise your hand. If you think you know the definition, that's awesome. See, a lot of people go, the what? The osophy or colostomy? What are you talking about? Theosophy is Theos, God's, Sophia, wisdom. Now, I'm going to share today, and I am a former radio and television broadcaster, and I speak for a living. I can talk about this slide for 5 hours. So I'm really, I want to be able to stay on track. We may have to take a break in between because there is nothing more important in the world to talk about. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So we're going to say right here, these pictures that you'll see throughout the presentation, these were taken by husband. Husband is in the audience. There he is, the extremely handsome man with white hair. That is my husband, who is the photographer, and you will see this is what he's doing is taking these pictures through water with laser pens, and so that is the theme that you're going to see throughout, and that's what I use on the Living Theosophy brand. So, oh God, here we go. Okay, access to the wisdoms of the near-death experience. If you have ever seen or heard of Anita Moorjani or Dr. Eben Alexander or Raymond Moody, when they come back and they talk about these experiences, a lot of them, we read this and we go, oh, I really wish that I could have that happen to me. I want to know that. I want to know what the other side is like. What happens when we die? All of these questions, you have access to them in these teachings. And it is not solely Theosophy. Theosophy is ancient. It is timeless. So we're going to go ahead and go through this presentation and taking a look at what is this an exclusive place? No, it's not. Anybody can be a theosophist. This is a quote here. Any person of average intellectual capacities, I do question that myself, average intellectual capacities and a leaning towards the metaphysical, of pure unselfish life, who finds more joy in helping his neighbor than in receiving help himself. One who is ever ready to sacrifice his own pleasures for the sake of other people, and who loves truth, goodness, and wisdom for their own sake, not for any benefit they may confer, is a theosophist. And CW there stands for the Collected Writings, 9, page 155, the Collected Writings of Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, one of the most important scribes of the Theosophical teachings of the last 2,000 years. She wrote down an incredible collection at the end of the 19th century. So looking here, do you feel, I mean, obviously you're here, you're inside this lodge, and what is a theosophist? You can be an atheist and be a theosophist. You can be a Buddhist and be a theosophist. You can be whatever it is that you are and be a theosophist. That is the best definition that I can come up with to begin this. So what is Theosophy, and how are these teachings similar to the near-death experience? As you can tell, I don't even need a mic really to fill this room. I probably could fill an arena. I am a former radio and television broadcaster. I did radio and television for years, and I started back in, God, the 80s. And I've done commercials, you know, I've done, your call is important to us, thanks for holding, you know, that kind of stuff. I've done Pampers for your baby's skin, all that kind of stuff, all commercials and sold cars for Ford Explorer. I mean, the Southern California Ford dealers. I've done on rock radio, country radio, all kinds of broadcasting. And I had my baby on television, actually. So for the very birth of the reality television shows, I wasn't going to talk about that, but I have. I've always been a speaker. I started out doing singing telegrams, stand-up comedy, obviously. And then I was a tour guide at Universal Studios and for the state of California. So I've always been a speaker. So when I came across these teachings, I wish to use my voice for something purposeful. This is something that I believe can help other people on this planet. So instead of giving away tickets to, I don't know, Aerosmith, I think it's more important to do what I'm doing here. There has never been, and I'm so honest about this, and Damon told me, please start off calm, and I am nowhere near calm because I'm very excited. There is no podium more important, and it is important to remember that the platform that these teachings are to be taught from are meant for the teachings, never the teacher. So whoever wrote these down or whoever's talking to you, it's not about them. This is about you. This is about you and the application of these teachings. So I just wish to be a purpose. So basically, I'm just a speaker. I'm just talking to you. It is not about me, it's about you. So a lot of you coming here, you might have found that you come into this world as an empath. How many of you can relate to that word? Empath, meaning you can feel and sense other people's emotions and feelings. You have an overwhelming sense of compassion. There's a crushing compassion that I can't explain, but since I was born, it's there. I feel a connectedness with other people and a responsibility to ease their suffering. It can lead to codependence, it can lead to addiction, it can lead to self-destruction. But how many of you would say that you don't have to raise your hand, but I mean, you know what an empath is, right? Yeah, there you go. Okay, I have some people, nodding. Okay, the empaths, more and more coming in. You see all these kids online, they're talking about, let's save the world. And we want to save the world. How are we going to save the world? Well, the way we're going to save the world is by changing ourselves. You're not going to be able to change ever. You're never going to be able to change anybody else, or anything else, or any situation. You can't change the fact that the trains are doing what they're doing today. The only thing you have control over, and you've heard this a million times through any of the teachers, the sages throughout the ages, is you only have control over yourself. Your actions, your reactions, and sometimes your environment. That's it. So as empaths, coming in, wanting to change the world, you feel this responsibility. The answers that you seek can be found in these ancient texts that we all have access to. They are free and they belong to all. So the Oracle at Delphi, I know some of you, again, those are beautiful pictures that husband is taking. I don't know what they are. I don't even know if he knows what they are, but they're just taken through water with laser pens. So they're for you to feel whatever you feel. But the Oracle at Delphi, as these, in ancient Greece, we have them taking this information coming in out of the earth. You know, is it because they were hallucinating because of the gases coming out of the earth? I don't know. What do you think the Oracle at Delphi is? They were wanting to know who's going to win what war. Then they wanted to know the answers to life. And this is one of the most common answers that is coming out of this ancient fortune telling or looking into the future is man, know thyself. Man, know thyself. Who are you? And I know, and like with Shakespeare's to thine own self be true, sometimes that comes up there like, who are you? Who are you? And that is such a big thing, is I'm like, oh, well, I know who I am. I know everything, blah, blah, blah. When I was a teenager, the more I grow and the more I go, the less I realize I know. I know very little about who I truly am. As a physical individual, a human being, I don't know anything. But we are told to know thyself. Who are you? And in the teachings of Theosophy, it tells you, it teaches you, if you want to know who you truly are and what you are capable of. And the objectives of the Theosophical Society, some of you know who and what they are. I can do them, I can paraphrase them, but I know I'm already looking at 15 minutes. So big thing is it's to form a nucleus of brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color. Okay? It's also the latent powers within mankind and the hidden laws of nature. And it is to study the commonalities of the world's religions, sciences, and philosophies, because Theosophy is the fundamental truth that underlies all of that. All of that. This is what we're talking about, getting to know thyself. Who are you? What is Theosophy? Is it a religion? I get that asked all the time. I'm sure other fellow Theosophists get that too. They're like, oh yeah, you guys are all blah, blah, blah. And no, we're not. Actually, Theosophy is not a religion. It's divine knowledge or science, and I know some of you know that, but it is not based on a belief or a hope. It is based on evidence. So through the application of these teachings, you will find changes take place that cannot be explained other than that is physical proof to you. So you have a scientist, he's in the lab, and he needs to prove something. He has an experiment, doesn't he? So you have an experience to prove something. I will tell you that being a Theosophist and a practicing Theosophist in every application of my life, every day, whether it be because the trains are late, or we don't have enough money to fix Horta's house, or a relationship, or my son is going through something, or whatever it is, Theosophy works. Theosophy is the textbook for humanity. So as we go through here, is it a religion? It is not. It is divine knowledge and science. It is wisdom, theogonia, or wisdom of the gods, genealogy of the gods. The word theos, as you know, means God in Greek. Some of you know that. One of the divine beings, certainly not God as in an exclusive God, where for some reason we've been able to divide up, I don't know, air. It's weird. We've gotten it to where we've got, and you get humanity wanting to go ahead and say, well, We've now got this teaching, we're going to put it over here, we're going to call it that, and that's the right one. Everybody else is wrong. In our world, we have over 4,000 religions. Of those 4,000 religions, 10,000 of them are different branches of Christianity, and they're all fighting. They're all fighting, and suffering is endless to prove who's the most peaceful. It's true. And we're killing and murdering and maiming and raping and pillaging to say we are right and you are wrong and you will burn in hell forever because we're so peaceful and we're the right one. And our ceilings are more gold than yours. So it is not a religion. We're not a religion. It is not God as what we would think of God as, like, got a beard, up in clouds, far away, supernatural being that has nothing to do with you. That's not what it's about. It is not wisdom of God as translated by some, but divine wisdom such as that is possessed by the gods. The term is many 1,000 years old. So Theosophy antedates all of the world's religions, sciences, and philosophy. Theosophy was here before we got here, and it wasn't always called Theosophy, but that's what we call it now. So here we have Socrates telling you, okay, these empaths coming into the world, wanting to change the world. I'm going to get to the near-death experiences in a moment. I see it's already 20 minutes. Let him who would first move the world, who wants to change the world, these empaths who want to change the world. How do you do that? You change yourself. So this is Socrates. This is a quote from Socrates. If you wish to change the world, if you wish to change and save the world, you must change and save yourself. And the only person who can do that is yourself. So this is Dr. Evan Alexander. The Proof of Heaven is a book that was written by, if you have not heard of it, the book is called Proof of Heaven. He's a neurosurgeon who used to always go, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, right, when his patients would come back after brain surgery, and they would tell him, oh my God, this happened, and he'd go, yeah, okay, it's just you know, the anesthesia wearing off. And he was a big doubter because he was absolutely as passionate about science. And this is the physical world, all there is, the sensual world, the world of the five senses, as he is now about what he's been able to experience, because only when he had the experience himself was he able to understand it. So there are many in this world who have known so many of these truths, so much of these truths for a very long time. In fact, this is really about a convergence of human knowledge that will lead to the most amazing and unimaginable future for all of humanity. So taking back the experience that he's experienced from his near-death experience, and how can you get a hold of that knowledge for yourself in practical application? You will find it in the teachings of Theosophy, in these textbooks. So he's saying the convergence of science. This is a neurosurgeon who absolutely didn't have any religious beliefs. Science, spirituality. If you will notice, they are catching up to each other. And if you'll notice, we're actually, it's the same thing. We're starting to notice we're looking at the same thing. The churches are emptying out. The, what do you call it? Recruitment is low. And they're starting to turn now towards the pagan. Welcome. They're starting to turn towards the pagan. They're looking at nature. They're looking back at the older ways of doing things. It's not going to be found for 1 hour in a building that you go to once a week. It's inside you. All of these, this is just some. But all of these, you got the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna and Arjuna, this is your higher and your lower self. You have the Kabbalion, which is, I'm really excited to see so many people online talking about this book. This book was written down by William Walker Atkinson as the Three Initiates. Now, Damon knows more about that, about the Three Initiates, who they are. Atkinson is the one who wrote the book that introduced me to Theosophy, but the Kabbalion is a very powerful text, and it's amazing. Atkinson also has written under the name Yogi Ramacharaka, the Three Initiates, Hermes Trismegistus, and others. He was also a part of the New Thought movement, and that was written, again, right around the same time of the New Thought movement at late 1800s. Manly P. Hall, Canadian philosopher. He's coming through Secret Teachings of All Ages. If you just take a moment to listen to what he's saying, same thing. You've got Pythagoras, Jacob Boehm. I pronounce it Boehm. It might be Boehme. I say Boehm. The alchemy. Okay, alchemy. Listen, these guys were telling the church that they're making gold because that keeps the church quiet. But they were really talking about the transmutation of the physical into the gold of the spiritual. They were really talking, look at the alchemical symbols. Look at what the alchemists were doing outside the church, because you get in trouble, okay? But you tell them we're making gold, it's all good. To rise above the physical and become spirit. We are the highest level of matter and the lowest level of spirit here on earth. That's what this symbol is here, the Star of Solomon. This is the highest level of physical, lowest level of spirit. That's us, mankind. So in alchemy, they're talking about this. Look at those symbols, study your myths, study your mythology. Okay, so you've got the Vedas, the Upanishads. You're coming in with Lao Tzu. You've got Rumi. Rumi is here. There he is. Rumi coming in, very popular now. All of these things, they're all saying the same thing. The great spirit of the American Indians, the grandfather spirit, Martin Luther King Jr. The underlying principle of all the world's religions is what? It is compassion. So it's coming in with compassion. These guys are all saying the same thing. It's unconditional, pure love and unity, not to be confused with the different rituals. Humanity does get carried away with how we do it and which way we do it and what we're wearing when we do it and what time of the day we do it. But basically, they're all saying the same thing. And that is the comparative study of all the world's religions, sciences, and philosophies. Now, I don't know, I mean, this is how I'm only sharing, and we only can share from our own personal perspective. So I don't think, I grew up Catholic, so I don't think, and from my personal experience through the application, that there is going to be a supernatural superhero gonna descend from the sky, and there is my savior. Because it just doesn't make any sense. The more that I study these teachings, the more I understand we're giving it away. We're saying I'm going to go over there to get something that has nothing to do with me to save me. It doesn't make any sense. The more you start to understand who you truly are, to remember who you are, the more you understand this Christ consciousness, this returning of Christ, is the Christos that they talk about in the Theosophical teachings and all those other teachings of the spirit, the principle, the divine spark inside you. As this comes to light, it is the same as the solar flare. This divine spark is no different. So you are really the spiritual superhero, supernatural hero that's going to descend from yourself. How I came to learn about Theosophy? Oh God, okay, here we go. William Walker Atkinson. It was a time of great psychological pain. And I was speaking with Pamela before the talk, and she had an amazing quote about talking about how, I think it was Khalil Gibran's quote about the pain, that when you are learning, you cannot love unless you have been broken by pain. So it was at a time of great psychological pain. Cliff Notes version, because that clock seems to be going like this, is that my son, when I moved over here to the United Kingdom, my son was about 8 and 9 years old, and for his 10th year, he was here for a year, and a big custody battle raged on, and I realized that one of us was going to have to let go. How can I teach my son about compassion unless I become compassion? And that means doing the one thing that I'd rather not do. I would rather die. So I let him go back to the States, and I would have never moved if I knew he was not coming. So it was during that time that I picked up this book by William Walker Atkinson. He goes by Yogi Ramacharaka in the book that I picked up, which is called the Advanced Course in Yogi Philosophy and Oriental Occultism. Now, that was a big mouthful. Why that made it across the transatlantic voyage with me, I have no idea, but it did. And during that time of great psychological pain, which I think is important because I think it needs to be broken. You need to be in heartache, or experienced heartache, to be able to understand the opposite. So I said, I've got nothing to lose. I have literally no will to live, but I'm going to go ahead and try this. Why not? And every page seemed to come forward with something. I go, that just makes sense. What is this? Who is this Yogi Ramacharaka? Go online. I go to look for who he is. Who is this guy? This guy's now William Walker Atkinson, writing as Yogi Ramacharaka for the Yogi Publication Society, and he's going by other pen names, but he's all pointing towards one book in these the 12 lessons of Oriental Occultism and Yogi Philosophy. They were mail-out courses, and then he did the advanced one. I had the advanced one, so I found out they were all pointing at one tiny little book. It's a teeny tiny book. Many of you will be familiar with it. It is called Light on the Path, written down by Mabel Collins, and they were all pointing towards that book. And I went, well, what is that? So I looked up Mabel Collins, and I looked the whole thing up, and it said, Light on the Path is a theosophical classic that one must have if one is a true theosophist. And I said to husband, I said, what is theosophy? What is this? If we've been to all these New Age conferences and we've been to all these New Age bookshops and all this, how is it that I have not heard about the word theosophy? So I'm going to look right at both of those cameras. I'm going to tell you about theosophy. Please, if you are interested at all in what you are hearing here, there are answers for what it is you are seeking, and they come under the name Theosophy. Theos, wisdom of the gods, theos, gods, Sophia, wisdom. So I was really grateful to come across that word, and I go, okay, cool. So I came up here, and it was 2014. I go, why isn't there a line out the door? This is the most important stuff I've ever heard of in my life. There should be, like IKEA. I need an IKEA door out there. I expected computers. I expected literally like the headquarters, Parliament. I expected that. And I get up here and they were really quiet. They're like, well, it's really kind of a, those who need to know. And I go, this is so important. So I took the diploma course that year. And I was super passionate, as you can tell. I took the diploma course and I go, this is amazing. This cosmogenesis, anthropogenesis, the beginning of man, the beginning of the solar system, ghosts, the paranormal, karma, everything was answered. Well, not answered. Everything was, you can see where there are answers available. So anyway, so I wanted to be of service. I felt this crushing, strange, I still don't even understand it. This like, get to work. I'm like, okay, well, there's no pay. So I just started this thing. I started voicing the texts and I put them up on YouTube. And I'm like, okay, what now? And it's just me. So I go, I'm just putting them up on YouTube so somebody else may come across them. Somebody else may get that same benefit. And so I just started to not just voice them and not just study them, but I began to do something very different than I've ever done before. I tried to become them. I took like one little thing out, which is like, hast thou attuned thy being to humanity's great pain, O candidate for light? Can you hear the suffering of this earth? Can you feel it? Do you hear that? Can there be bliss when all that lives must suffer? No, I can't. What am I going to do? I'm going to live, 60 years. I die. I go float around on a gold cloud while everybody else is bleeding to death and suffering? What is that? There's no point to that. That doesn't make any sense. We're all part of this together. So we're going to get to the near-death experience. We're half an hour in. Okay, here we go. Okay, the title of this talk is about the commonalities, near-death experience. That's what NDE means. OBE is out-of-body experience. So if you are familiar with that, this is, again, back in the day, people didn't talk about it because they were criticized being crazy, of, oh, that's an after effect of the whatever, anesthetic, and just, don't say that to the doctor. They'll put you in the 5150, or what they call over here a sectioning. But when people started to talk about it in the 70s, especially after the book Life After Life, people were more confident to come back and speak about this. And they were like, well, I guess, yeah, I did cross over, but only to my friends. And then you got more and more people coming out and talking about it. And they are coming back with some unbelievable information. And this is, what I've done here is I've gone through and I've taken, trying to keep it short, but what are they coming back with? A majority of these people who have had a near-death experience when they cross over, including Eben Alexander, Dr. the Third, who is a neurosurgeon, he's come back and that number one thing right there is love. They come back and they talk about the importance of love, an indescribable, ineffable, overwhelming sense of unconditional love that they cannot describe. They can't, there are no words on this planet Earth to describe the love that they experience. They're loving beings of light, and they often come in the way that you would think they are in your particular religion of that lifetime, because that's what would be comforting to you. So you might see Jesus, or you might see whatever, Allah, whatever you perceive, is the way these beings appear to you as you cross over. Now remember, these people haven't died completely. They've died enough to come back, but their bodies were clinically dead. So they have crossed over. They are talking about an all-encompassing, intense sense of understanding, unconditional love, compassion. They have compassion. When they come back, there's no fear, but the compassion is just massive. There's no religion. They've got up there. A couple of them have said, I've asked, what's the most important religion? And they said, well, what's your favorite type of cheese? Seriously, what difference does it make? It doesn't make any difference. It does not make any difference at all. There's no religion, but they do frequently take the place of religious figures. And some people do come back and say, oh, that's proof that my religion is right, yours is wrong. We continue to fight on a ball. We're on a ball in a bunch of balls that is an ever-expanding universe. How do we have lines? How do we have boundaries? It's ridiculous. Anyway, many find that there are no words to accurately describe. There is no time, so time and space kind of fades away. Dimension, is it another place? Dimension is actually, it's all right here. It's another state of being, is what they're saying. It's literally, I didn't go anywhere. I was just in another state of being. So I find that fascinating too, because we always think, well, when I get there, then I'm going to be okay. Or when that happens there, I'm going to be all right. And back then, it was that. It's actually all happening at this particular time. And it's very clear when they cross over, that understanding of no time and space. So there's only limitless knowledge, which I find is really interesting because they do understand things that you can't understand in our two-dimensional world where we're walking around in these meat suits, where we're observing this planet. And everything is, there's a lot of suffering here. There's a lot of suffering here. So here we have unlimited knowledge, power beyond power, an understanding that this world dissolves and that the universe itself envelops in unity, the totality, the oneness of who we really are. We are all each other, like cells in the body. We are like cells in the body. It's like if these cells over here went, oh my God, those cells over there are horrible. But oh, guess what? You know, we are each other. There's an understanding of that. And it's not a question. They're coming back going, oh my God, I get it now. That's home. So we are an unlimited expression of spirit, an unlimited expression of spirit. Again, explained in the Theosophical teachings, existence itself. This is one of my favorite, the silence behind the silence. That was a beautiful quote from one who came back. He goes, I can't tell you anything other than it feels like the silence behind the silence. Understanding everything that our soul has experienced through our past life, life after life, that we understand why we were in prison for 50 years. We understand why we murdered those people. We understand why we were murdered. We understand. We can see a bigger picture. We Google Earth. So you do have an understanding. There's no fear, and there's only perfect love. There is no fear. There's happiness, comfort, a feeling of being cherished beyond measure. You are loved forever and unconditionally. I remember one man saying that it felt like how a mother holds a baby, that unconditional love, but he said times a million, and then times a million of that. That's how loved I was, just me, encompassed by this being of light. The understanding that the body is the house that we live in, our exploration suit. It can make little ones. It eats, it fuels itself, walks around. That's what we're in. We're wearing a meat suit. We really are experiencing the earth in this body. This body does not define us in any way. And a lot of the times when they come back and they say, how is all of this supposed to fit in that? I can't fit in there. That's weird. But yeah, the understanding that the body is simply the house we live in, and it is an exploration suit for planet Earth. It's like our little space suit. There's proof and understanding that there is life after physical death, that we understand that although the earthly body is transitory, that we are our consciousness, the we that is we, the you that is you looking at me, and me that's looking at you, continues after this physical body is long gone. We evolve that there is no death, and that life is just a day. So I spent some time in this earth suit as whatever, me, and that was just a blip. That's it. That I don't end at this particular time. Theosophy talks about that. What happens when we die? What happens when we die? We evolve. The story goes on. So consciousness, awareness, and alertness that is more real than real. That's another thing, is the colors, the music, the mathematical harmony is more real than real. That coming back here, it's very two-dimensional, like a dream, like a dark, dusty, kind of a, I don't know, brown and sepia, black and white dream. And that it's kind of heavy. It's two-dimensional, like empty. That feels like home. This feels like hell. An awareness and a certainty of an infinite, loving, omnipresent presence. Just even saying those words. An infinite, loving, omnipresent presence. There is telepathic communication. So words are not spoken, but we're communicating when they're up there. They do not speak with words. They hear the words inside. And the telepathic communication, there is no gender. Gender is fluid here. Some of us are beginning to understand that. But gender is not like, oh, there is a man and a woman. Gender is fluid in all things. And that is explained in the science, that is explained in Theosophy. Global connection and instant communication. So what I'm talking about here is that when we pick up our phones, and we're immediately seeing somebody on the other side of the world. For some reason, I can't explain it. It feels like we're getting ready to understand that type of communication. I believe this is preparing us for what is to come down the line. We now can pick up the phone and we can see somebody on the other side of the world. We can actually get in touch with that. So I believe that science is catching up with that part of spirituality. Just my own 2 cents right there. The past life review illuminates the immutable law of karma. Karma and retribution. I see husband looking at the clock. How are we doing, honey? We're doing all right. Okay, good. Every single thought and action, everything we do, and how we cause other people to experience the world, we will experience ourselves. This is one of the most terrifying things and one of the most illuminating lessons of Theosophy, the immutable law of karma, which is called balance, the balance, equilibrium, the law of equilibrium. As you do, so shall you reap. So that means that what you do to someone else, you will experience what it's like to have that happen to you in every way. It isn't just a, oh, don't do that because that was really terrible when you did da-da-da-da. You actually get to experience what your thoughts and what your emotions and what your actions caused another being to experience. Which is, to me, that's overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, how can I make myself a better person? That's why people say you're too kind. I go, no, I'm not. I believe you cannot be too kind because everybody's going through something. So you can always be kind, but I'm not doing it so I don't suffer. I'm doing it because I'm 53 years of age. I do it because I have been selfish in my life. I have been callous and unkind, and I have done things that I cannot understand that I would ever even act that way. But that law that every sage and every teacher, every avatar throughout the ages has come through and told you, don't do to other people what you wouldn't do to me. Be careful, it might be me at the door. Don't do unto others what you wouldn't want done to yourself. They're telling you something that isn't a, hey, you might wanna. It's a, hey, this is what's gonna happen. So where are your thoughts? Where are your actions? Would you want to right now, if we had to come to this stage and have you have this past life, whatever, review? Would you be okay with everything that you've done to everyone? I would be like, oh my God. So that's what they're coming back, and they understand that. They're like, oh my God, I saw it from the other point of view, and it's horrifying. So they come back with a completely different understanding. The earthly personality achievements of wealth and fame and status and power do not matter. It does not matter. That acts of kindness and compassion and empathy, no matter how small, saving a little worm and putting them in the earth, that kind of stuff, making sure that that person has a seat on the tube. It could be anything. It could be words of kindness when you're too tired and somebody has passed and you're on Facebook and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like, I'm sending you comfort, I'm sending you peace, I'm sending you love, you're not alone. That kind of stuff, those are the big dogs. Then the smaller, the better. The kinder you are, you're at the store and the clerk is really crabby at you and you're not taking it personally. You're like, I hope you have a good day. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you. That's awesome. That kind of stuff really matters. So you could be, I don't know, Kim Kardashian. You could be in the royal family. You could be, it doesn't make any difference. What kind of a queen were you? What kind of a celebrity were you? What kind of a politician were you? What kind of a, I don't know, boat person were you? What kind of a train operator were you? It doesn't matter. Your status does not make any difference. That's what they're coming back with. So no matter how insignificant, it's to learn and become love. That's what they're saying is the most important thing. Instant forgiveness is there's instant understanding, and there is nothing to forgive because you understand the bigger picture and the role that people played in your life. So when you think of, a lot of them come back and go, oh, now I understand. I had this huge battle, who I thought was my biggest enemy. We have past life experiences together, and we have a story we need to play out, and we are actually much closer than we thought, and that's why they're here. And because you can see that you have fear and love, those are the opposites, so you're interacting with each other here on this planet, and you understand why. No one is really your enemy. They're all here as part of your story. And so everyone plays a required role. So don't take it personal. No matter what it is, it's not personal. Most all who go do not wish to return to Earth due to the limitations and the suffering of the physical world. Some are angry as there is zero desire to leave a home. So they're like, please God, don't send, or whoever, whatever is there, this light, this loving being, please, I finally feel as if I have woken up, and don't send me back there. Please don't send me back. I don't care that I've got little kids. Please let me stay here with you because I finally feel like I understand. And so all of these things that I'm saying that these people have experienced through the application and the study and the practice and becoming of the teachings of Theosophy, you can understand too, just as much as they have. There is no separation and there is no fear. These people come back. I was speaking with Pamela before, and she was talking about going through the pain in the application of the Theosophical teachings, and she said, there's really no fear. There is no fear. I literally, death, there's no fear of death. The things that I used to think were the biggest deals are the smallest deals now. The things that I've put into practice, if you can live your life without fear and without the judgment of other people, don't worry about what other people think, and you're here to be of service and understand that this is just part of the picture and that the story goes on long after here, the happiness, you know, you actually can have happiness here on planet Earth. You have a strong desire to serve others. They come back and they're like, okay, well, I need to do something. Now what do I do? What do I do? Write a book? What do I do? What do I do? I want to help. I need to tell everybody about this. And the recognition and the awakening of the divine spark within, that we are much more than individual human beings, that we, when I said earlier, man, know thyself, which was actually the Oracle at Delphi, I was just repeating what they had said, it means we are pieces of God, okay? Now, and a lot of people, oh, you say you're God. Well, actually, we are pieces of God. Everything is. Everything is in motion, and everything is part of this, all the absolute, the eternal loving light. We are all fundamental, essential parts of the whole, all of us, everything, everybody. And that means every dark bit, every what you might call a psychopath who has no empathy at all, who's caused much suffering, they're part of us too. We're all each other. We're all each other. So the most important thing we can do while we are alive, the most important thing we can do while we are alive, I'll repeat that again because this is important, this is what they're coming back with, is to learn how to love. And is to learn that love is the path. Now, there's different types of love. I think I talk about that in here. There's familial love. You're in your family. You have your romantic love. There's sexual love. There's idol love. You know, you can love a rock star or a movie star. You can love, I don't know, Periscope stars, things like that. There's different types of love, but the big thing is love. It's unconditional love for all humanity. So that's the most important thing. When they get back, they go, that's all that matters. Each and every one of us is unique and absolutely essential. There is not one being that is not here for a reason. There is not one thing that takes place that doesn't take place because it's supposed to. Everything is exactly as it should be. And you are waking up. You are coming. We are all waking up together. Each and every one of us is unique and essential. And together, which is so beautiful, together we make up the tapestry of eternity. And we must make sure that we are in tune so we can play in the universal harmony. So there we are in that tapestry. All of us different. All of us different. We don't have to be the same. It doesn't make any difference what color you are or what tune you play. But you're all part of the big universal harmony. That's what they're coming back and they're finding out. Again, more real than real. Once you cross out of the physical body, it's more real than real. And this world feels exactly like, they say it's like being in a theater and watching a movie and like, yeah. Then you walk out and you see the sunshine and you feel the warmth and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, the movie was great, but this is awesome. This is where I live. And that's what it feels like to them. So if you want to learn what that's like, home, you just take a look at the teachings of Theosophy. So how can we help humanity? What can one person alone do? And that's the thing is a lot of people go, okay, how can we do this? Do we follow a guru? Do we go around following a guru? Is that what we do? Do we go to this church and put money in their coffers? How do we do it? What can one person alone do? It's a good question. Is that in Isis Unveiled on page 635, it says, the world needs no sectarian, which means any division of a church. We don't need a church. They're beautiful buildings, though, I will say. I do appreciate the architecture. Linden. It's true. So whether it be a Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Swedenborg, or Calvin, or anybody else, there being just one truth, and man requires only one church, and that is the temple of God within you. Okay? The temple of God within us. Walled in by matter, but penetrable by anyone who can find the way. The pure in heart see God. That is from Isis Unveiled. However, if you will go to your Christian Bible, the kingdom of heaven is in your midst. The word midst doesn't mean running around in the crowd at Piccadilly Circus. That's what I would think midst meant. Somebody's in the midst of that. Midst literally means middle. Excuse me, again, I'm sorry about that audio. Midst means middle. It is absolutely meaning it is in your midst. They've been telling you this for a very, very, very long time. This is inside of you. You are the answer to that. Not a church, not a building, not just Theosophy, it's you. This is about you. So we have access to far greater knowledge than ever imagined. We have the secret doctrine, which is, it's very difficult. If anybody comes up to you and says, oh yeah, I've read the secret doctrine, it's great. It's impossible. It is a textbook that is really written in a way, it's almost like it's layers upon layers of information that is scientific, it is mathematic, it is quantum physics, it is philosophy, it is so much more than just what it looks like on paper. And I think that you can Actually, they say that that's just the beginning. They say we've only given you this much because you're not even ready for this yet. So anyway, The Secret Doctrine, I believe, could be humanities textbook, but there are other ways to enter into this knowledge of the Secret Doctrine. The Secret Doctrine was written down by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. It was not written down from Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. She did not come up with this, it came through her. And so you have the origin of man, anthropogenesis, you have cosmogenesis, the origin of the universe, and Isis Unveiled, also written down by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. You've got theology and science, mathematics, everything is math. Everything is math. You've got the sacred geometry. You've got quantum mechanics, quantum physics. We study quantum physics and the power of thought, and we're going to get to that later on. Oh, there we go. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, oh, there we go. Okay. So today, most everyone has access to these ancient, archaic teachings. If we apply and become them, humanity together, okay, we have the near-death experiences. They have their personal experiences with it. It's like, I don't know, I went to the Tower of London and I saw it, you should go see it too. Okay, you can still know what's inside the Tower of London without actually having to go there. So in these teachings, if you apply and become them, you can have the exact same understanding, the exact same experience. If each one of us studies and becomes, applies and actually becomes compassion, we can change this where we're at now on this earth. This, like the 100th monkey phenomenon, okay? I mentioned that, I put that up there just because reality collectively, by choosing love over fear, we can change the trajectory of what we are on now, which is fear, separation, oh my God, there's a virus, we're all gonna die, blah, 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 they're so bad, there's politics, oh my God. We're so divided, we are so afraid, we're not functioning the way that everybody else can function, but we can change the way we function. So don't watch the news, just turn it off. Just turn it off. Seriously, why? I mean, you can check what you might need to know for your train schedule, but other than that, stop spending time watching the news because there's so much good. There is so much good. And if you get in that fear mindset, that's very powerful too. We're going to talk about the power of thought in a second. Heaven will come to earth and planetary peace can be achieved if we all begin to take responsibility for our own actions, reactions, and responses. If you take nothing away from this talk other than the fact that you don't have any control over anything or anybody else, nothing, not your kids, not your husband, not your friends, nothing, but your actions, what you do, and what you react to, okay, and your environment. I'm going to go over here. Thanks. That's all you can do. That's it. And that's actually a big, my son goes, Mom, oh my God, you said it so much. But he finally, now he's kind of like, oh, I know. I was telling that to my friend the other day. I go, good, because it's true. And I didn't come up with it either. There are lifetimes of work to be done right here, right now, inside each and every one of us. Everything that we are looking for is closer than our own breath. So think about how close your breath is to you right now. And I was at a talk at, I think it was, oh, what was his name, honey? We were at Satish. It was Satish Schumacher, yes. Satish, who does the Gaia theory in Totnes, he was talking about this particular statement. And I remember going, that is brilliant. He's right. That's brilliant. Now, he didn't come up with it. This is ancient stuff. Breath, the nefesh. We were talking, in Theosophy, it talks about the breath of life. When you stop breathing, what happens? You die. But breath, it is here within you because here we have spirare, which is Latin. Spirare. This is also Latin, spiritum, and spiritus. And what do those words mean? If you are, surely you might know where I'm headed in this direction. People say, oh, I'm not spiritual. I'm not spiritual at all. Really? You're not spiritual? Do you breathe? Do you breathe? That's what that means, spirare, inspirare, inspire. That's to breathe life into. So spirare, spiritum, and spiritus means to breathe. And if you want to learn more about all this, I literally am, if you can imagine the biggest universal-sized glacier, I'm literally going skip, 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 just across like a tiny little bit. That's what Theosophy is huge. It's endless. It goes on. I'm just giving you the little tidbits. This isn't even going to qualify for a trailer. But if you breathe, you are spiritual. When you stop breathing, you stop living. Everything breathes. To breathe is spiritus, spiritum, spirare. Okay, let's see. I've got that my little thing. Come on now. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. This is a great quote. I don't know if anybody remembers Bill Hicks. But I thought I'd throw this in here because I remember when I first heard it, I go, that's totally true. He's got it down. He's a comedian. And he was a philosopher as well. And the world is like a ride in an amusement park. Okay? It's like a ride. And when you chose to go on it, you think it's real because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and it goes down and it goes round and it goes around. It has thrills and chills and it's very brightly colored and it's very loud and it's very fun for a while. Some people have been on this ride for a very long time and they begin to question, is this real? Or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and then they come back and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid because this is just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try to tell us that. Do you ever notice that? We do. That's what we do. We get afraid and we kill them. And we let the demons run amok because it doesn't matter because it's just a ride, but we can change it at any time we want by our choices. No effort, no work, no jobs, no savings of money, no nothing, no status. It's a choice right now between fear and love. We can change this ride. We, listen to me, can change this ride. You can change your ride. You can change it right now because everything is connected. Everything is connected. When they come back from the near-death experiences, they come back with the understanding that this is one of many, many, many lives. And they understand that the relationships of loved ones and, again, the perceived enemies and the ones when you feel this massive amount of love that you can't explain from this person you never met, love at first sight. This explains all of that. The most important understanding, again, is that compassion, love, forgiveness, mercy, kindness, acceptance is truly all that matters. That's it. So money doesn't, status, real estate, I mean, it's beautiful while it's here, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you have academically achieved. But the kind of person that you are when you are on this planet, that is what truly matters. And that is how our souls evolve toward what we call the absolute, the para-Brahman. The para-Brahman, the universal self or spirit, the absolute reality that is beyond God's. Now, all of this Sanskrit, all of this description, it's all in these texts that are free. And they are available to all. And you could be whatever religion you already are, and you could still, whatever political affiliation you are, you can still have this. It's available to everyone, okay? So each incarnation is but one letter, in one word, in one sentence, in one paragraph, and a chapter, in one book, and a library of ever-expanding libraries. And that was just something I wrote to try to explain when I'm trying to get my head around eternity. How would I think about eternity? I'm like, well, this is such a big deal. It's going to be the end of the world, and no one knows what a big deal this is. Huge. It isn't really that big. It's going to be okay. So each incarnation is but one letter, in one word, in one sentence, in one paragraph, in a chapter, in one book, in a library of ever-expanding libraries. And we begin to understand the bigger connection, bigger picture. We all are connected. This is not happening by accident. And if you have that empathetic, that compassion, that you're already coming in with this, you can feel that you are each other. And our behavior, thoughts, actions, and emotions not only affect our world, they affect everything, okay? The power of thought and emotion. A lot of people will dismiss that and say, it is simply a passing fancy. It is an invisible thing inside my mind that no one else can see, and it doesn't matter what I think or feel. But it does, because thought, this is super important, is a living force. Use it wisely, okay? I know you're going, thought is a living force? That doesn't make any sense. Well, who's YR anyway? That's Yogi Ramacharaka, also known as William Walker Atkinson. Thought is a living force. Use it wisely. Be careful where you spend your energy and put your emotions, because thought is going to be the driver and your emotions, that's the engine. Woo, woo. And you're going to create your reality that way. And I remember going, oh, that's complete BS. And then I started applying it. And then I saw the results. And then I went, oh my God. And so it's like electricity. You can't see it, right? You can't see it. But, I plug it in because I know it's there. Thought is a living force. Use it wisely. And I was just reading in the library yesterday in the Mahatma letters when they were describing that your thoughts become beings in your afterlife. If they are dark thoughts or cruel thoughts or callous or selfish thoughts, they are your living nightmare. They become living things in ways that I will allow you in your own studies to begin to understand. But I cannot enforce this enough. Thought is a living force, okay? So what you're thinking now, what you think later on, when you're thinking, no one's hearing me complain, you can hear you complain, that's enough people hearing you complain, stop complaining. And try to find a place of love. Be careful what you have emotional currency going out at all times. Use your thoughts, choose them wisely. Another quote from Yogi Ramacharaka, also known as William Walker Atkinson, of what use would all of this pain and sorrow be if this life were all? So I say that again. Seriously, you've got massive amounts of slavery, you've got massive amounts of imprisonment, you've got massive amounts of murder, and you've got all of this sorrow. And what's the point? Why? If we're going to live 80 years, we suffer, 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 bam, you're gone. Bam, that's it, that's it. It doesn't make any sense. If you look at the bigger picture, there's a reason for it. It's balance, it's counterbalance, and this is not all that there is. This is just a day. This is a day. Just like today, you got the sun comes up, yay, it's birth. It goes down to night, and that will end. That's the one day. We're one day. That's it. So there's more than just this day. Okay, so this pain and suffering and sorrow and how miserable your life is and everything that's taking place in your world is not happening for no reason. And you have the power to change it because the power of thought is extremely powerful. Okay, remember, man, know thyself. Know this about you. Every one of your thoughts, words, and actions, from the most significant to the very least, in the way that they are experienced by others, will also be experienced by you. So what you think about another person, it's not what you do to them, but what you think. Oh, you're judging all the time on the tube. Oh my God, I can't believe they're wearing that. Oh my God, that political system. I can't believe they're so this, they're so that. Be careful, okay? Because we are doing that. We will experience what it feels like to be thought about like that. We will experience. The karmic law is one of cause and effect. There is a cause and an effect, okay? So everything that you cause, you will experience that effect. That is not a, hey, you might want to. Remember, it is an absolute, it's going to take place. So everything that you do, you will experience. That may change the way you behave after you're here at this talk. I know it's changed mine once I understood that. So it is a non-negotiable check and balance system. It is not a, oh my God, you're going to be punished forever, because you're not punished by anyone else except yourself, because you understand the bigger picture of your actions and you can see what it feels like for the people that you have affected. So it isn't vindictive punishment coming down from a supernatural God. It is literally, I'm going to touch this, ow, it's burning. I did that, so therefore I burnt myself. Okay, so that's exactly what it is. It's balance. What you do, you will experience the results of, period. Okay, always treat others how you wish to be treated. How different our world will be when we understand and apply this eternal truth. I guarantee you, your trip on the tube would be much different. It'd be like, oh, after you, after you. I mean, it literally, from everything, smallest to the biggest, if we begin to treat each other with respect and love, what a different world we would have. And that is actually what we're supposed to do. Oh, no, wait, here you go. There you go. It's my favorite slide because it's red and it says, we're all going to die. Because we're all going to die. We are closer to our death than when I began this talk. You're welcome. We are closer to our death. And we are currently in hell. Oh my God. You know why? People go, what are you talking about? In the teachings of Theosophy, any man-inhabited planet is called Mialba. Okay? And this is the greatest of hells, where we are at a physical incarnation on a man-inhabited planet. Let's read that. Mialba is our earth, currently called hell, and it is the greatest of all hells by the esoteric school. And the esoteric doctrine knows of no hell or place of punishment greater, really, other than on a man-bearing planet or earth. So how does it feel to hear we're all going to die, which we are, and that's okay, physically, and we are currently in hell? Why is there so much suffering on this planet? They go, if there was a God, then these children wouldn't be dying. If there was a God, then there wouldn't be all of these wars and suffering. Well, there is a God, and we are actually in this place now. We are in a place of great suffering and darkness. And the reason I am a Theosophist, and I'll say that to the cameras, is because I wish to do whatever I can to ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings on this planet. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm a Theosophist, because we are here and we are in hell and we're all going to die. And so when we come to that, the death thing, that's the thing is we want to hold on to this earthly life. Let go of that, because once they cross over, you understand, you can come back and you can, when you study and apply these, you can understand that as well. You'll have a bigger understanding of that the brain does not create consciousness. The brain, is it a receiver or a sender? Is it a receiver or a sender? What do you think? I don't know. I mean, what would you say? Anybody? Peanut gallery. Both. Yeah. Yeah, so we have this brain, and I was just doing, I didn't even take one, I just held it and put it down, hang on. I was doing a key to Theosophy where she was talking about the power of the pineal gland. This is 130 years ago when she wrote down these teachings. In the key to Theosophy, she's talking about the pineal gland, the spleen, and we're thinking that the physical brain is obviously, that's all that there is, that's all that there is. There's not, you could chop off little parts of you until nothing was left of you, but you're still conscious. Where does consciousness lie? Who is it that's listening to me talk right now? It's your ears. Yes, your ears to your physical body, but there's somebody processing that information. Who's that person? Who is the person who is processing it, and who is the one who's remembering it? Who's the one who is listening, and who's going to be the one who applies it to the physical body? Who's you that's you? The consciousness does not originate from your physical brain. This is a neurosurgeon who has had a near-death experience, who is very passionate about the fact that he was wrong, and he says, listen, it is pure and simple, unconditional love. That is what is infinitely powerful. And it transcends personal love. Like people think love, you think, oh, happy Valentine's Day. That's love. No, that's more than that. It's way more than that. There's a compassion for all beings, for everyone. And I feel like when I'm on the tube, I go, these guys are my friends. I just haven't met them yet. And these are my friends. And I act like my husband goes, you are crazy. Is something wrong with you? Because you are just, it's too much. And I go, I don't know if it is. I feel literally like they're just friends I haven't met yet. And I feel a crushing sense of compassion and a ridiculous responsibility to do what I can to help ease the suffering. So if what I'm doing is helping somebody somewhere, someday, great, good. I'm going to plant some seeds because I've found that this works. I found that this is what I was looking for. And it's not in the juicy New Age gurus either, because it isn't about another person. The only other person, it's not about the avatars who've come either, not Buddha, not Krishna, not Christ, or Jesus. It's about you. I cannot say that enough. It's about you. So you are deeply loved and cherished forever. You, and I put that in bold, have nothing to fear. Basically, here on planet Earth, it may seem super scary. That ride may seem really super scary. Oh my God, we're all gonna die, it's so terrible. But it's gonna be okay, because it's just a ride, okay? So you have nothing to fear. You will be taken care of. And I remember a gal named Amy, and I can't remember her last name right now, I didn't put it down there. I remember her saying, she was very passionate about this when she came back. She said, I need to tell you that those of you who are suffering or struggling, if it's not okay, whatever it is that you're going through, if it's not okay, it's not over. Even if it's death, it's not over. If it's not okay, it's not over. And I get goosebumps when I hear that, when I think about that. I think that is so comforting. And I've said that to my son a million times. I've said it to myself. I'm like, this is the worst possible thing that could ever happen, and we're all going to die. We don't have any money. Blah, 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 blah. And I go, oh, wait, that's right. Hang on. I can't get swept up in all of that because there's much more to the story. How many times has the worst possible outcome taken place? When you've been experiencing things, there are times that really bad things happen, but a majority of the time we will move emotionally towards that worst possible scenario and experience the emotions that go with it, and then go, oh my God, it wasn't that big of a deal anyway, it's fine. And you have lived, literally, I'm 53, every single solitary one of those has passed and come and gone, and I can't even remember them. But I was sure that death was imminent and we were all going to die. However, there's more to the story. Rarely, if ever, does the worst possible thing happen. Sometimes there are really horrifically, massively huge pieces of suffering that we must go through, like the loss of a child, or things that are huge, the murder of someone that you love, or you're taken as a slave. It is said in these teachings, the Alexandrian philosophers, they say, look, you can be a slave, and you can be freer than any man out there if you apply these teachings. So I'm like, how can you be a slave and be free? But it's true. It's absolutely the truth, and Theosophy tells you about that. So take that home with you today. If it's not okay, it's not over. It's not over. Theosophy is literally a textbook. It is a textbook for humanity that allows us to individually and collectively begin to treat the cause, the endless horrific effects of that plague our world. And if you look up here, that right there, the second little grouping of words, that is something that I find exists everywhere, unfortunately. It is the selfishness. Humanity is very selfish. Humanity, we are ignorant. We prejudge. We prejudge. We actually condemn before investigation because they're different. Oh, they're different color. Oh my God. There they go. They're not like me. We still have that kind of ignorance. How can we be that stupid? Seriously. Because of hair color or skin color? What about teeth color? What if we acted that way about how can we judge based on what somebody else does? And that the suffering done under the guise of religion is massive. Just because your thoughts are different than mine, I'm going to kill 6 million of you because I can. That's the ultimate ignorance, prejudice, superstition, fear, and greed. So selfish, we are ignorant, we have a lot of room to grow. We have a lot of room for improvement. But fear, what is the opposite of love? It isn't hate. Hate is fear. If you hate something, it's because you are afraid that it may affect your happiness. And people go, no, I'm not afraid of anything. I just hate those guys because they got guns, or I hate those guys because they got whatever. No, you don't. You are afraid of them. It's fear that you are afraid of. And if you knew that you really, truly are them, that it's really the right hand talking to the left, how surprised you'd be to know that you share the same heart. It's so ridiculous. Fight, 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 fight. And what if these launched an attack on my feet? Oh my God. It's ridiculous. That's how we behave. So war, suffering, disease, persecution, prejudice, racism, bigotry, slavery, addiction. And addiction is that's where I kind of came from. I remember as an empath and a codependent, and life here on earth it's hard. So you take a drink and you get a temporary reprieve, just a little, oh, thank God. So I remember a quote from Deepak Chopra that said that addicts are some of the most spiritual people that he's ever met, because they'll go to any lengths to go ahead and feel bliss, or to feel God, or to feel good, or to feel nothing at all. And I remember reading that and I thought, he's totally right. Because I don't want to be here. It's painful. This is hard. This hurts. This is scary. It is hell. And I want to get out of it. So when we condemn these people who are good people, who are simply trying to physically find euphoria, you can find that euphoria without a substance. But a lot of people don't know that. So they go to what they feel. You take this and immediately you feel, what do you feel? You feel this euphoria that these guys, when they come back from the near-death experiences, they talk about an ecstasy and an understanding and a feeling of love and bliss that is mind-blowing, that cannot be described on the physical planet. Addiction is the same. They're just trying to find that. So I'll be 18 years sober come June, and I'm grateful that I stopped and I didn't kill myself because I wanted to, because it sucks here, I thought, but look what I would have missed. Look what I would have missed. And thank God I pulled my head out long enough to go ahead and realize that there's more to the story than just that. I would have missed out and I would have had to do this all over again, because also in the teachings of Theosophy, it talks that suicide is not death. It is physical death, but you're still here. So suicide is not death. William Q. Judge does an amazing talk on that. And I see the time. I see Damon's moving around. He's wiggling. Damon is wiggling. Okay, man is the most insane species, because this is a great quote from Hubert Reeves. And man is the most insane species because he worships an invisible God and destroys visible nature, unaware that this nature that he's destroying is the God that he is worshiping. Isn't that something? We are annihilating our planet and thinking, we're going to be, thank God we can go to that planet and do it over there. The thing is, the planet is a living being. These stars don't just twinkle and shine. There's life in everything. And all of that is explained in Theosophy as far as you want to go. And it would probably take you lifetimes upon lifetimes upon lifetimes to assimilate all of that. However, nature is the true church. You are the temple, and within you is the divine spark of that flame. So you don't have to go anywhere. Nature is the church. That's why it feels so good when you're out there, you put your feet on the ground, or you're walking in the forest, or you bathe in the wind and the trees. This is the truth. Man is the most insane species. He worships an invisible God and destroys a visible nature, unaware that this nature that he is destroying is the God that he's worshiping. In Theosophy, we will describe to you, in these teachings, you will see that nature is the church, and there is so much more to nature than we have given credit for. And we persecuted those that went, the pagans that used to go out and know this stuff. This is old. It is older than time itself. This is a Martin Luther King Jr. quote. I thought this is fantastic because he's talking about, here he comes in and he's fighting a really good fight. And it's this beauty of this wisdom of remembering, because this isn't about how much you can go and know on your own. You're remembering as you evolve. He was evolved and he was talking about this kind of love. He says, hate for hate only intensifies the existence of hate and evil in the universe. If I hit you and you hit me and I hit you back and you hit me back and you go on, you see, that goes on ad infinitum. It never ends. Somewhere somebody, this is you guys, somewhere somebody must have a little sense, and that's the strong person. The strong person is the person who can cut off the chain of hate, the chain of evil, and that is the tragedy of hate, that it doesn't cut it off. It only intensifies the existence of hate and evil in the universe. We keep hating hate out. You can't hate hate out. Somebody must have, and I almost didn't use the word religion, but remember what time period he's in. So he goes, somebody must have, let's say, knowledge there, enough, and morality enough to cut it off and inject within it the very structure of the universe, that strong and powerful element of love. Martin Luther King Jr. Look at him go. See, now what did we do? We killed him. Yeah, killed him because he's coming in saying stuff that, are you seriously undermine my foundation of wanting to hate? And I don't know if it's a human thing that people are just born that way, but I don't get that. I don't understand why we can't see this. I can hear it, I can feel it, and I want to share it. So that's why I'm so passionate about this. He had his finger on that pulse. He came and showed a different way of being, and they're annihilated. Usually they are killed because of fear. Oh no, oh here we go, yes. This is something that when I was watching, somebody on Facebook was talking about somebody had died, and this was in 2016 or something that I wrote this. And it was after doing some studying in the Key to Theosophy and also Voice of the Silence. I was thinking about, this person was like, oh my God, they've died, they've been taken from me, I've lost this, and this wasn't their time to go. And I said, I was thinking, as I was just scrolling, I thought, well, it is their time to go, because this is when they went. And I was thinking about what Theosophy had taught me. So I ran it through my own, this is me running Theosophy through my own thing. And I've read this at several eulogies, because it is my own understanding. This is my understanding. Now, yours is different, but this is just what I wrote. I read this at my father's funeral, and I guarantee you when he passed last year, I was like, Dad, way to go. He graduated. There was no loss at all. And I know everybody else is like, oh my God. And the husband goes, you might want to tone it down a little bit because not everybody thinks like that. And I was like, well done, Dad. And we would talk about this as we were going to get him ready to pass. And his hospice people said, well, you've already covered most of the ground that we usually talk about. I go, because Dad and I talk about this stuff. We talk about, what's happening afterwards. And I literally felt like he had graduated. There's no other way to think of it. He did well. Good for you, Dad. So anyway, death is not personal. It is as much a part of the natural cycle as birth. Because everybody's like, happy birthday, oh my God, it's your birthday. But we never go, oh my God, if there's a birthday, then there's one thing that's guaranteed, only one thing, and that's that there's going to be a death day. There's a fanatical celebration at the beginning without acknowledgement of the inevitable transition. Life is but a day. And some go to sleep early. Some only here for a couple months, a day, an hour. And some stay up late. My dad did. He stayed till 91. But no one sleeps forever. You will awaken again, and the love and lessons lived, not lost. The sun rises and sets, or that's our perception. And the moon waxes and wanes. The tides come in and go out. Civilizations rise and fall, as does your chest, with the breath of life. A constant cycle from the moment you got here until the last one in this physical incarnation. So God does not take anything or anyone from you. And you are not a victim, okay? Death comes to each and every one of us. We're all going to die. Instead, see and understand that you have been given everything. Every moment is a gift. It's true if you look at it that way. It is up to you what you do with those moments while you're here. And are you going to spend those moments bitching about somebody else's religion? Are you going to spend those moments thinking about the things that you don't have? Are you going to spend those moments judging whatever? Are you going to spend those moments behind a TV screen watching something that's been edited and produced and edited and produced and then edited again, and that's your life? Are you going to truly live? So death is coming to all of us. The bell tolls for all of us. This is a gift. We are here, and this is a gift. And when they come back, and they don't want to have to come back, but they do see the value of life when they come back from these near-death experiences. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the photography before we get to the close. Look at that time. My husband, again, using, there he is, extremely handsome man in white hair right there, but he's using water and laser pens. And when he would take these photos for my memes and things on the social media outlets, because I go, where is everybody? Where are they? Are they in libraries? No, they're not. They're on this, the Black Mirror. This is where everybody's at. They're here. And I go, how am I going to get that word out? I got to go on the Black Mirror. So I'm going to go on social media. And that's where I learned about Periscope. In this room, there is a live streamer that is extremely successful. I love her very much. And she's taught me so much about the old school ways of broadcasting where we're in the room waiting for the records to finish. It's different now. You go like this, bam, hey, everybody, blah, blah, blah. And you got everybody. You got everybody's on there, every country, everywhere, all over the world. That's how we're talking to each other now. And so they're on the Black Mirror. So I needed an image, so I was reading the William Walker Atkinson books, and husband was in the garden and he was taking some pictures so I could put some words up there, like quotes from HBB or William Q. Judge. And these started to come through one day when I was reading the 14 lessons that is on YouTube. And he showed it to me. I go, that is gorgeous. What is that, husband? And to me, it looks like, I don't know, the pineal gland between a male and female. I'm not sure. We don't know what it is. But then something else came in right after these. And I don't know what you're going to think, but I have to remember, I don't worry what other people think. But the pictures that are to come is one of the reasons why I do what I do. Because it's the only thing I go, that's maybe a validation that I should continue doing this. Because there's no paycheck here. I'm not doing this for wealth, fame, and I'm not doing it for any other reason. But what came next is these. From those two figures, this began to form on that side. And our husband is just flashing with his iPhone into the water. So that picture came, then that picture came, then that picture came. And then that picture came, and that picture came, and that picture came. And that is the one that I use as the logo for Living Theosophy. And when he showed me that, I go, it looks like Jesus in a hat. What is that? And he goes, look at this. This is a really big thing. And I go, oh, my goodness, I don't know. I have no idea what that is. I literally don't know. And he couldn't recreate it if he tried. I use it as a Living Theosophy logo because to me, a word came into my mind. It was Katumi, but it was spelled different. I have no idea. I don't know what it is. I just know, to me, it looks like there's an anthropomorphized figure there. And there is light in what would be his hand. And that's all I know. So you'll see this on the Living Theosophy things. I'm like, okay. Because when I was doing these videos, doing these book studies, I would go and there would be this picture. And I'm like, well, help. What are we doing? What am I doing? So I would just do the next indicated thing. I'd voice the next text. I'd do the next meme. And it was this picture that gave me the inspiration to keep going when there was nothing else. And husband, I said, how did you create them? He goes, I have absolutely zero idea. It literally was a cat toy laser pen in water. And they started like that. And then they came in like that. And I mean, I see nose, beard, hat. I don't have any idea, but that's the one I go with the logo. I have no idea. So anyway, after that, you've got, this is, oh, look at me underneath 120, that's good. Okay, this is another one of husband's pictures taken from one of the films that he uses. He'll roll as he goes. But anyway, again, Fohat, how would you describe the process Fohat, which is creation in Theosophy? How is it that I have even the right, or we have the right to give you what your imagery should be? So if we use something that is opaque and something you can make up your own mind, this is a great way to close on those because they don't have absolutes. It's not, a person standing there. I mean, that looked like a person standing there, but was it? I have no idea what it is. Anyway, Theosophy is for everyone. And I know it says it's just for the few. What I believe that means it's for the few that will get it. Okay? It's not everybody's going to understand it. Some people are going to go, what? Huh? Anyway, I'm going to go to the bar, blah, blah, blah. But it is just for the few that get it. So there are people that are going to be like, oh my God, yes, that's it. I get it. Help me. What can I get more? And there are people that are like, I get this every day. I got it last night at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I got to go to sleep. He's like, Anne, can you tell me what is Theosophy? I'm like, oh, thank God you're asking that question. I will spend that time to answer that question because thank God you ask. And on the live streaming platforms, the Periscope, I use the name Living Theosophy. And I get that question all the time, what is Theosophy? And I go, you'll watch me apply it when the trolls come in. And the trolls come in and they're like, just try, you name it. They'll try to do it. And it's my response to the trolls. It's the love. I go, if you are feeling that upset, then I think that you would need love. I would give love in the face of torment. I try to apply and become Theosophy in everything that I do, and I'm using it even now as I'm going, oh my God, the talk's coming to an end. The acceptance, knowing that everything, when things are difficult, we are learning. When things are good, we get to rest. Theosophy can be applied in every aspect of your life. And it isn't just Theosophy. It's ancient, okay? So it's ancient knowledge that belongs to everybody, okay? All can become living Theosophy. So it's not about me, the individual, the human being that's talking in front of you. That is so not important. Please forget that. It is about you. Theosophy cannot be bought or taught, okay? You can't teach somebody to get this, but some people will get it and they can learn more by being around other Theosophists. So it can be earned and it can be learned. You can learn it, okay? It says it can't be taught, but it can be learned. That doesn't make any sense, but it does. If you think of what HPB is saying here, where she says, first deserve, then desire. So what that means is a lot of people would like, I tell you what, the most people that come into the Living Theosophy channel, they all go for the most popular thing, which is the psychic powers. How do I get psychic powers? Unfortunately, that is, and that William Walker Atkinson talks about that. And if you go to Glastonbury, if you go to the bookshops, I will ask one, where's the Theosophy section? And it's always like this, or sometimes it'll be like this. Glastonbury, it's like that. Then I'll also say, what's the most common thing that they're coming in for? Any New Age bookshop. And they're all coming in, 98%, we talked about this with Damon last night, they're coming in for spells. They want to have magic powers over other people. Still, that's what they're coming in for. But, okay, so if you're coming in for that, if you're coming in to want to do, you do have remarkable capabilities, but when you earn them and they're out of selflessness, you will find that your ability increases. But if they're for selfish purposes, you can only go so far. So first deserve, then desire. Make sure that your slate is clean. Are you living a worthy, good life? Are you here to study these teachings to better the world? Do you wish to exist, to end the suffering of all beings, the unnecessary suffering of all beings on our planet? Is that why you're learning that? Good, good. Then you're heading in the right direction. First deserve, then desire. And when you do that, when you've got your ducks in a row, now you're not going to be perfect. You're still human. So you've got to be kind to yourself. But be as good as you possibly can. Deserve, then desire, and then study. So it's not our job to simply read and study for the result of becoming individually enlightened. Because a lot of people think, okay, yay for me, off I go. Where? What are you going to do when you get enlightened? What is and I think they want to have a spiritual experience. Oh, I saw this and I was able to do that. So great. I'm so important. Stop. What is the purpose of enlightenment? To me, my understanding is the light and enlighten is our true purpose. And our true purpose is to recognize the divine spark within all of us and to bring that light forth into the world to illuminate the darkness that is on our planet. That is the reason for us being here, and that is right up at 5 minutes before, and I'll be damned I finished at 1:30. That's awesome. Woohoo!